Oh. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we turn this light on. Yeah. Keep that light off. We're not gonna want to use that one. What's that? Yeah. No. I know. I was complaining because last time I had this classroom, I thought, wow, this is the best they got. But in fact, it very much is the best class available because it's the only class with a microphone. And in my other classes, my students just can't hear me. My voice, I talk very quietly, and so people struggle being able to hear me very clearly. And so it's a tough deal. It's a balancing act, folks. But here we are, back in the chemistry building. This is my favorite classroom now. Oh my God! Because the other classrooms, they don't have mics. They ain't got no mics. So, forgive me. I just came back from the Starbucks you guys have on campus. My God. I'll tell you what. My university out in Oregon, we don't got Starbucks. We ain't got it. We ain't got it. So it was an honor to see that. As soon as I walked through the doors, went through the gate, saw that you guys had a beautiful Starbucks. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure this is looking good here. It's having a little hard time focusing. You know. At least we got a dot cam. I can't, oh my goodness, there it is. Well, it's going to be flickering, It's kind of a Halloween slogan graphic anyway, so. Well, anyway, here we go, folks. Thank you so much for coming back to class. For those of you who weren't here this morning, we were going over the script that I had started with my morning class. Last week. So, for those of you who are here, you remember that, of course, so that's very nice. You see, I decided when I came here, because I didn't really have a plan when I came here. I wasn't sure how I was going to go about my curriculum and my all of my teaching materials and everything, and organization and all these compartmentalizations of things. I wasn't sure how I was going to go about it. But now I know I've decided that we're going to be working on the script in the morning classes, and then our evening classes, which thank you for all of you being here. This is our evening class. Very grateful that you guys showed up. I know this late in the day we get tired and we don't want to stay at school. Some of you have been here since 9 a.m. and I got here right at the nip of 7 o'clock a.m. I tell you, I was tired. I was very tired, but we made it. Anyway, and so for this later class, we do more of the screenwriting theory. Does that sound good to you guys? I talked to some of you guys after class last week, and you said that, yeah, that was all good and fine. And, dandy. That's what we're going to do, folks. Remember, our Walking Universal Studios teacher is going to walk you through how to write a script. 101. Okay, so here we go, folks. Welcome. This is our advanced script theory. I didn't have much of a name for it, so I just used my film company name. This is Smitty Cycle Films style. Advanced Script Theory. Okay? And what it entails is we are going to look at the hidden engines that drive story. Okay? The hidden engines that drive. Sometimes I wake up at 3 in the morning because I live by a busy road. I hear those cars 3, 4 in the morning. And those are the engines that drive, right? So we're going to show you some engines that will drive the story to your creative writing abilities. Let me tell you what, we have some beautiful stuff for you today. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to jump into the core principle. The core principle of basic screenwriting, or at least the Smitty Cycle film style. A powerful script is not driven by plot. A powerful script is not driven by plot, guys. It's not driven by plot. You know, leave the plotting, the points in the mathematics. Okay, boy, we ain't doing plot. Plot is part of it. It's part of it, so don't throw it out of the way. But it's not driven by the plot. It is driven by invisible systems operating underneath the story. Okay? So most writers I talk to, and in my crew and everything, and people I meet along the way, most writers they say, well, what happens next? Right? And some of the more stronger writers that I've met, they always ask, well, what is building underneath what happens? Right? What is building underneath what happens? See, that's a little more complex. That's more of those are the people I like to talk to at length, quite honestly. Well, your job is not to move the story forward, okay? If you're an author, if you're writing, if you're the screenwriter, your job is not to just move the story forward. Anybody can do that. Anybody. Your job, if you want an effective script and you want people to take it serious, your job actually is to control the audience's internal experience over time. Okay? We're trying to control the audience's internal experience over time. And you got to write like that. Okay? Let's look at 3 hidden story engines. Okay, we're driving all the way for this one, okay? I know you guys, we just had this parade with all the cars and everything in town here, so this is right up your alley. Hey, we're revisiting the engines and the cars and all that stuff. So these are the 3 hidden story engines that I use. Every strong script, folks, runs on 3 engines at all times. Okay? 3 engines. 1, 2, 3. We'll name them, don't worry. But 3 engines. If one of those is missing, if one of these 3 engines are missing, the story is going to fall flat. The story is going to feel flat. The story is going to flat tire you. You know? It's going to flat tire you and you're going to trip. We don't do that here. Okay? Our first engine of script writing is the emotional engine. The emotional engine. Okay? What does this control? The emotional engine. What does it control? It controls how the audience feels moment to moment. Okay? The key rule of the emotional engine is emotion must constantly shift. Right? Just like when you're in a car, you're shifting gears. You know, you're going to go to 3rd wheel, 4th wheel, 3 drive, 4 drive, 6 drive. Google Drive sucks, by the way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like shifting gears in the car, though, is what I'm trying to get at, folks. Emotion must constantly shift. Okay? If a scene stays tense the whole time, it becomes dull. Okay? If a scene is calm the whole time, it becomes even worse than dull, it becomes forgettable. Okay? There's got to be an emotional progression. Okay? We got to go around the emotion wheel, right? The wheel of emotions. Choose your pick. We got to go from calm to uneasy, and then to tension, and then to release, right? And then joy and discomfort and confusion and reflection. Control Loss of control. Oh, there goes the car, right? Acceptance. Acceptance. We got to shift through the emotions. We got to ride the wave, guys. That's how life is, and that's how you got to write. You got to write like it's like real life. It's real life. You want to make an effective script, you got to just write real life. Keep it real. You got to keep it real. It's the only way you're going to grab people's attention, I'm telling you. And we live in a day and age where people's attention spans are, that of which, flies on shit. It's just, there's not a lot of big attention spans. So you got to get to the point and get to the core of what's going on. Because people are smart. They don't want to sit there through BS. They want to get to the realness. They want to get to the real thing, guys. They want to get to the heart of it all. They want to know what it's all about. And we're progressively changing over time as a species and everything. And I think people are becoming more spiritually aware. Whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. People are just wanting to get to the point faster. And so that's what you got to do. A good application of all of this is identifying the starting emotion of a scene, right? So you take a scene and you identify the starting emotion of it. Okay? Then watch the end of that scene and identify what the ending emotion is. And then when you're done, make sure, once you've looked at the whole thing, make sure that they're not the same. Right? Make sure you don't just have one thing through the whole. Make sure it's changing. If the emotion isn't changing, the story isn't moving. All right? If the emotion isn't changing, the story isn't moving. Okay, we're just sitting in the parking lot and park. And I see a lot of that kind of stuff in Hollywood, where these guys write, and I watch whatever they make, and I'm just sitting in park. Hell, I'm not even in a car. That's how bad it is nowadays. Anyway, and so, some questions I need you to think about in your head, and you answer these on your own time, but just what emotion does your scene start with? Go home and check out the scripts you're writing, or whatever you're writing, or maybe check out a famous script, whatever. Or maybe the script that we have on Canvas, and just ask yourself, what emotion does the scene start with? Okay, take a scene from it. What emotion does the scene end with, right? And if they're the same, the scene needs to be rewritten, needs to be redesigned. Period. Okay? Which takes us to our second engine, the psychological engine. Okay? We have emotional engine, now our psychological engine. Okay, what is the psychological engine? Well, it's what the audience is thinking, questioning, and anticipating. Curiosity is stronger than clarity. Curiosity is stronger than clarity. If the audience understands everything, they completely disengage. They get bored. If they understand nothing, though, on the other end of that, if they understand absolutely nothing of what you're doing, then they disconnect. Then they completely disconnect. And we don't want either of those. We want the balance. We want to keep the audience slightly ahead of what they anticipate, or slightly behind, so that they chase meaning. Right? Now keep folks on edge. So that's what good entertaining films do. It's never equal. It's either one or the other, in the sense that it's should be always slightly ahead or slightly behind. Right? We got to keep track of what our audience would be thinking when they're watching it. And we got to do that before the film is even released, right? And it all comes back down to the writing, obviously. So there you go. How do we do this? Well, here's some techniques. Okay? Ask a question before answering it. Simple. Very simple. Ask a question before answering it. Let the audience notice something before characters do. At times, that could be really powerful. Let the audience notice something before characters do. That's good. That's good. And the other thing that I like to do too, which I've talked about before, is let the characters know something that the audience doesn't. Right? Have variation of both of those. It's effective. The audience should never feel caught up. The audience should never feel caught up. They should feel pulled. Right? They should feel pulled. You know, medieval times, they like this. Pulling at each arm until they tore off your limbs. That's how our audience should feel, in a sense. Metaphorically, of course. Because we want them to stay engaged. We want them to be on edge and almost be like, wow, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so invested in these characters. I love the setting. You know, that's what we want from people. We want them to enjoy it. We want them to enjoy it. Come on, guys. That's why we do this. That's why we do this film thing in the first place. All right? So, again, if you want to go home and practice this, I would say identify a question that one of your scenes maybe creates, or find a scene in one of your films or a film that you really love and figure out when that question is answered. Okay? And that's how you can get into the more psychological engine mindset. All right, and so here's our third engine. This is the thematic engine. You know? It's what the story really is about beneath the surface. Okay? The theme is revealed through repetition and variation, not explanation. Okay? In weak writing, you know, like, let's see, like weak writing, for example, let's say I was writing a script or whatever, and I said, this story is about love. That is weak writing. You know what we did there? We are stating directly what the hell the whole thing's about, leaving no room for the audience to even consider thinking about wanting to dive into whatever you have to present them. Got to go for strong writing. What's strong writing? Strong writing is, we don't directly state love. No. Love is shown. Love is shown through sacrifice, through loss, through contradiction, through absence. Repeat ideas in different forms when you're writing. Let characters represent conflicting truths. You know, make it hairy. Make it hairy. Let meaning emerge gradually. It should be a mess. Life is a mess. And your script, if you want it to be thought-provoking, it should be a mess. To a point. If your theme can't be summarized too easily, it truly hasn't been explored deeply enough. Quite frankly, that's it. You know, if you can just summarize your film real easy, it just really hasn't been explored as deep as it could be. And we want to go for the deep dive, right? We want to go deep blue sea. So, those are some points right there. Let me double check my Zoom class. Double check my Zoomers. My Zoomers. Woo! I gotta double check. Yeah. Here, hold on. Wait. Let me just check my Zoom, and I'll answer that question for you real quick. Okay, we got a couple more minutes. Go ahead. What was your question? Yeah. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. Go ahead. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Can I share that with? Can I share it? Okay. Cool. We're going to share that with the class right now. That's a great point. I love that. Okay, our Zooms are good. I just had one of the students just share something really beautiful to me. about the whole thematic engine and what will you. He was talking about how, a car, for example, right? Some of these newer cars that are mass produced, in a way, they're kind of summarized. Whereas the old classic cars are, made with better materials. There was a lot more craftsmanship to it and all of that. And so, yeah, it's very much the same thing with cars. This is a very auto-influenced lesson today. Thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for letting me share it, too. It's very good. All right, so now we're going to talk about scene escalation. Screen time counts. Screen time counts, right? You don't necessarily want a 4-hour movie, but you don't necessarily want a 20-minute movie. But we can get into that later. That just kind of came out of nowhere, forgive me. But anyway, back to what I was saying before that. Scene escalation. Okay? Scene escalation without plot. Screen escalation without, or scene escalation without plot. Screen time escalation too, without plot. You don't need it. You do not need these big events to create intensity. Okay? A scene can escalate through emotional pressure. Characters becoming more vulnerable. Stakes feeling more personal. Let's consider power shifts. Power shifts. Okay? One character gains or loses control. Or for example, maybe another character gets in the wrong position and then authority changes hands. Right? And then, another thing is psychological discomfort. Okay? Where truth is avoided. Where tension can build through silence. Imagine two characters talking casually, right? And then one avoids a topic, and the other one notices, and then silence creeps in, right? And then now we're seeing power shifts, right? The scene, and there you go. The scene is now escalating without any major action needed. Escalation is pressure, not volume. Not volume. Okay? Take a calm scene from any old movie and ask yourself, where can pressure increase without adding action? Okay? There's plenty of examples. Plenty. But we're not doing examples today. I just want you to go home and do your own research. I'm just giving you the guide here. We're not. I'm just showing you how to write well, and a lot of it is just giving you a couple things, and then you go home and do your own research, and then you'll educate yourself even more. Oh boy, let me check my Zoom. I keep forgetting. It was cutting out of reception. Oh my gosh. We got to make sure that we're okay here. Okay. Yep. We're still good. I'd give it about 5 minutes. I'd give that thing about 5 more minutes and then it'll cut out of Zoom again. Zoom is such an interesting program that we won't talk about right now. But speaking of Zoom, let's go to our next little thing. Control of information. When you're writing a script, control of information is extremely crucial. For the audience's experience is controlled by whatever you reveal. and when, right? The timing of when. So, delay. Delay. When you're thinking of, when you're writing a script, you're thinking how to go about it, a certain scene. Think about this. Think about the delay. Hold back key information. Okay? Because the effect of doing that is it's building anticipation. It's increasing the tension, increasing the attention span of those watching. Another thing is fragmentation. Okay? Regarding information. Reveal information in pieces. What does that do? Well, again, the audience is actively participating, and it creates engagement. It creates an interactive engagement for your audience. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Here's the next thing that I love to do is misdirection. Lead the audience to expect one thing and then shift. Right? That's going to create surprise. It's going to reinforce the unpredictability of the characters or of something going on in the story or the story itself or the setting or what will you. It's going to reinforce that unpredictability, and it's going to keep it interesting. It's going to keep it very interesting. It's not going to just be boring. Again, now there's an important balance with a lot of this stuff. It's, releasing information too early means that there's no longer going to be any tension. There's not going to be a lot of room for tension, that is. But if you release information too late, then it's just going to be confusing. It's just going to cause confusion. So information is not just content, right? It's, as I said, it's timing. Timing is very much part of the information that you want to put out. So timing for good content. Okay. Yeah. Let me go check I'm going to go just stop the Zoom real quick and start it up again because I know it's going to cut me off. See, folks, after about 30 minutes, the Zoom goes bye-bye. I don't know why. Maybe you have to pay for it or something. I have the free trial of Zoom, Since 2020, though, it's always done this to me. About 30 minutes, beep, and then cut. It just cuts right off. Like a banana split, Just slip. Anyway, so let me go check this, folks. I'll be right back. I know, it's a lot of back and forth today. Forgive me, folks. It's a pain, but it's worth it. My guys online, they really like this stuff, so obviously we've got to make sure they're looped in.